I mean, is there anything else I can say? Just when you think that you've seen it all, you've seen the best game of the tournament, you think nothing can top that, and then you have whatever just happened. I mean, just insane, man. Well, welcome back to the World Cup recap. Day 25 of the tournament. So far, the round of 16 has been absolutely delivering, and today was just the best of both worlds. We got a crazy game and a crazy upset. We'll start with the upset and talk about Brazil against Norway. Now, I don't want to go up here and say that I predicted something like this, but I had a feeling that Brazil heading into this game were not safe. Coming off their game against Japan where they barely scraped through that one after being a goal down, I was starting to get worried about this Brazil team and their ability to go long-term in the World Cup. And especially against a team like Norway, who, as we've seen in this World Cup so far, they're absolutely not to be played with, man. They've yet to lose a game with the likes of Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard in the lineup. And once again, he was going to be an absolute tough task for Brazil, even with having an elite center back like Gabriel. We've obviously seen their battles in the Premier League before. Haaland usually gets the better of him here, and I didn't really expect it to be much different. Although in the start of this game, both teams kind of had their cracks at each other. Norway initially scored first, but it was taken off for offside. And then a few minutes later, Brazil get awarded a penalty. Matheus Cunha making the run in behind. He gets taken down. VAR awards them a penalty. And stepping up to take it was none other than Bruno Guimarães. That to me was a bit surprising, and what followed didn't surprise me. The slow stutter step, the weak shot, the easy save from Nyland, and it remains 0-0. And right away, I just gotta say it, man. Why did Vini Jr. not take the penalty? What's interesting is that after the game, Carlo Ancelotti was asked about this, and he basically went through his entire penalty depth chart. Vini wasn't even in the top 5 players on the team to be put on a spot kick. He was naming the likes of Neymar and Igor Thiago over Vini Jr. And I'm like, what? Like, I've seen Vini miss penalties before, but I've also seen him make plenty in Real Madrid. Why wouldn't he be the one to take it, considering how good he's been in this tournament? Hell, I would have put Matheus Cunha on that penalty before I would have put Bruno on that one. And I don't want to take too much away from Bruno because he's been easily Brazil's best midfielder and has had a pretty good World Cup, but that penalty was just not right from him. He just clearly stumbled in the moment. It was too big for him, and Norway able to hold on. And as much as Brazil tried to get things going and tried to recover from there, it just was not enough. And again, a huge part of that goes on Ørjan Nyland, who's been sort of the unsung hero for this Norwegian team. Well, everyone's obviously been talking about their incredible attack, and even their midfield at points has been really standing out. But Ørjan Nyland in goal, this guy, 35 years old, without a club, and yet he has done absolute wonders for this team, and especially in this game. He kept them in it so much. Every time Brazil was threatening on goal, he was there. A lot of this result from Norway is obviously owed to him. But back to Brazil. As the second half was getting going, the attack once again was starting to stall out. It's always around that 50, 60 minute that Brazil just kind of hit a wall and kind of forced Carlo's hand into making those substitutions. In this, he brought on Endrick as his first substitution, and almost a few minutes after he came on, Vini Jr.'s on the left. He plays in an outside the boot ball right to Endrick. Just a perfect pass right into the path of the youngster. Finally has his chance to put Brazil ahead and to make his stamp on the World Cup and prove to everyone why he should have been their main man up front. But in the end, he just absolutely makes a mess of it. Again, Nyland doing the smart thing here, coming out and really making Endrick hesitate on his move. And unfortunately for Endrick, he couldn't slot it past him. He couldn't even put it on the target. But yeah, again, for Endrick, we all know how talented he is, but I think that's just one of those situations where the moment got to him, or the fact that he's inexperienced. Obviously, he did all the right things to get to that point. I'm not sure if Matheus Cunha or any other front man for Brazil would have gotten to that spot, but unfortunately, he lacked the composure to be able to finish that chance off. That would have easily been one of, if not maybe the best assist of the tournament from Vini Jr., who I think had a better game in this one than he did against Japan, but still without too much of an impact. So great job for Norway for being able to hold him down. But if there's one thing that I've learned about Norway, especially going back to their last game against Ivory Coast, is that this team just has another gear. It usually comes out around the second half when things are a little bit tight. They got to get themselves out of it. They always have this other gear that they can go to, and it helps, especially when you have a striker like Erling Haaland, who, like I said before, is a player that can go 60, 70, 80 minutes without having too many chances, without too much of an impact. But no matter what, from start to finish, you got to be on him because he's always on it. He's always looking for that chance. He's always looking for that open space to get in. And in this case, Brazil, with about 10 minutes to go, completely switched off. Gabriel trying to man-mark Haaland. Haaland makes the great run in behind. Shelterup brings a cross in, and Erling Haaland just absolutely dunked on Gabriel. Again, not surprising if you've seen plenty of their Premier League duels. Haaland always manages to get the better of him. But in this case, at the World Cup. Never a bigger and better time. Probably some revenge on him for taking the Premier League trophy from him. And yeah, Norway have the lead thanks to Erling Haaland again. And of course, he was not done. 10 minutes later, as we approach the 90th minute, Erling Haaland gets the ball outside the box. Brazilian defenders are kind of just staring at him. They're not really pressuring him. They're not really going for it. They're kind of just standing there seeing what he would do. But it's here where it's like, well, what do you think he's going to do? He's not the kind of player to dribble past you. He's not the kind of player to maybe pass it off. He's going to shoot the ball. He's going to pick his spot and fire it on goal. And to the shock of the Brazilian defense, that's exactly what he did. Fired it in from outside the box, made it look so simple. Norway take the 2-0 lead. Erling Haaland, 2 goals. Just absolutely absurd, man. This guy, I mean, again, I've said I knew he was going to have a pretty good World Cup, but 7 goals in 4 games, that is just ridiculous, man. And at this point, it has to be said that he is on one of the greatest World Cup runs I've seen from a player that's not playing on one of those big countries with a lot of this big talent around him. Him doing this against Brazil, that's just incredible, man. Incredible from Erling Haaland once again, putting Brazil out of their misery. Unfortunately, even Neymar couldn't be able to save them, although Brazil did get a late penalty, one that I don't know if I would have given that. I mean, I guess they wanted to make it a little interesting, give Brazil maybe one just so they can get back in it regardless, or maybe they just wanted to give Neymar one last chance to score a goal at the World Cup, which he did. It was also at this point where the Brazilians were pretty much set in stone on getting out of the World Cup, and they were just losing their minds. Guys like Haaland and Odegaard were showboating on them. It was insane. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Norway beating Brazil, which I will say, the head-to-head record does not lie, as they are one of the only teams that Brazil has never beaten in their history. They played 5 times, drawn twice, and Norway have won 3 times. And with that, they were obviously able to hold on to this result, a 2-1 victory, historic for Norway as they make it to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. I mean, just unbelievable, man. If you told someone 2 years ago when this team failed to qualify for yet another international tournament with all the talent that they had, that in 2 years that team will be beating Brazil and be in a World Cup quarterfinal, there's no way you would have believed that. Absolutely no way. But again, what this Norway team has done over these last 2 years, how they've transformed, how they managed to collect all this talent and build the perfect team around the likes of Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard. It's just incredible. It is one of the greatest turnarounds that I've seen in recent international football. Again, a team that has won 28 years without making an international tournament, let alone a World Cup. And for them on their first one back to be doing this well, it's such a testament to this group, man. It's a testament to not only just how good they are, but also how comfortable they are with each other. And you see it. You've seen it throughout even their post matches where obviously they gather up, they do the rowing, again, incredible from them and their fans. But you also just get that vibe from them that they're a team that is going into these games without any fear, without any pressure, without any sort of worry or doubt in their minds. They're going about it like it's just a regular kickabout with their lads. There's a reason why that I've said in previous videos that this team reminds me of Wales in Euro 2016. They're a team that is making history for themselves. Their first tournament in so long. They're going about this in such a carefree way. I mean, you saw it in the France game where Haaland's like, well, I don't know if we're going to beat them, and then he proceeds to just not play the game, and it doesn't matter because now they're finding themselves back in a quarterfinal spot, and they're in a very, very good spot, I will say, because if you look at the other side and you look at all the results, they could really find themselves in a massive spot for this World Cup. I think it's safe to say that at this point, that Norway have proven to everyone they are the dark horses of the World Cup. They were one of the more popular picks, and obviously easy to see why. And again, with the level of Haaland's playing at the moment, and just, again, the way the team has all come together, it's easy to see why that this team has been so successful in this tournament. And again, they're just so great to watch. When you have a team like that with a superstar like Erling Haaland, you got to witness them, man. At this point, you have to be aware of Norway. Now, before I move on, I got to talk about Brazil, man, because once again, this team just so disappointing. The expectations for Brazil heading into this tournament were very low, much lower in recent years. For my accounts, the last 2 World Cups, Brazil were the favorites to win. The favorites, and they fell both times in the quarterfinals. This time, the expectations were not of a team that can win the whole thing. The fact that they came 5th in qualifying in South America, were almost at risk of missing the World Cup had it not been for Carlo Ancelotti coming on board. And yet, even with his appointment and his presence, he still wasn't able to fix the issues that have plagued this team for years and years and years. I mean, just going through the lineup that he put out today, why did Gabriel Martinelli start? Look, obviously he came up big for them against Japan. I can understand that. But he's been that way for Brazil when he comes off the bench. Starting him today essentially took away all of what makes him such an impactful player and an impactful substitution that we've seen for Brazil in their previous games. He adds a level of speed and explosiveness that you can't really find anywhere else in this Brazil lineup outside of Vini Jr. And on the topic of that, Casemiro, I'm almost tempted to use the Jamie Carragher quote on him again, man, because this tournament was very, very poor from him. Again, I get that Brazil is in a bad spot when it comes to midfield, like really bad. And again, this is the point that I'm talking about when it comes to these issues plaguing the team, is that Brazil have produced a plethora of great attacking players, even great center backs over the years, but their midfield has always costed them. It always has. In this case, again, Casemiro should not be this team's starting CDM at this World Cup. We've seen it time and time again in this tournament of Casemiro just being a step behind everybody on the pitch. Everyone, even the goalkeepers, probably got more pace than they do with Casemiro at the moment, man. And I get Brazil's other options aren't much better, but still, he's been holding them back this entire tournament, man. And yes, I get that he scored against Japan. He got them back in it. The only thing that did was really make up for how poor he was in that first half of that one. So yeah, that's the starting points from there. But other than that, this team just needs an overhaul. An overhaul of seismic proportion, man. You would think after losing 7-1 in your home World Cup, it would really wake this team up and force them to get back to the roots and back to solving their issues. You would think that 12 years into the future, Brazil would have fixed those things by now, and they'd be back to contending for World Cups and be in World Cup finals and potentially get the 6th one, but no. And I honestly fear what this team is going to be looking like heading into the future, because I don't know, man. I don't know if they have enough in their pipeline, especially from, again, the defense, the midfield, even the goalkeeper position as well. Will they have enough in their ranks to be able to replenish their team and get them back into the stage of competing for World Cups again? I mean, again, a team that still relies on guys like Casemiro, even Neymar today, in 2026. Like, that is the level of the Brazil teams that we are at nowadays. I don't think previous Brazil teams would be heavily relying on this much of their veteran players to be key contributors. That just shouldn't be the case, especially when those veteran guys aren't really in the position of playing elite football that they were once playing in their career. Again, I say all this to say that I don't know where Brazil go from here. I really don't. Whether Carlo's going to be their guy going forward or not, if they get someone else in, if they, again, replenish everything, I don't know. But one thing I will say is that if Brazil don't fix their stuff right now, they're going to be entering the darkest period of their footballing history. And trust me, they've had some really dark periods. Whether it's losing the World Cup final in 1950, going over 2 decades without winning in the 70s and 80s, and then there's this current period where they're now facing their longest World Cup drought they've ever experienced. And for the sake of football, I really do hope Brazil can find their mojo again, find themselves again, and really come back to being that top team that we see competing for World Cups. They're always such a fun team to watch when everything is going well, but unfortunately this tournament, not a lot did go well for them, to be completely honest. Vini Jr. was pretty much one of their only consistent bright spots throughout the tournament, and even his play kind of went down a bit in the knockout stages. I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying that he's been completely terrible, but there's clearly a step up in playing teams like Norway and Japan as opposed to playing, Haiti and Scotland. Even then, I won't go as far as to say that he had necessarily a bad tournament, but still, losing in the last 16, something Brazil has not done since 1990, That's a bit of a rough look, man. Again, I hope things get well for Brazil, but in the end of the day, I don't want this to take away from how big of an achievement this is for Norway. Getting a win against that team, against that group of players, from where they've come from, just sensational run. And I really hope that it can keep going from here because who doesn't want to see these new teams and these new players shine from the ashes and do things that we've never really seen before, man. It's history for Norway, and let's see if they can keep going from here. And as for their next matchup, well, that was going to be decided in the next game of this day. An absolute blockbuster between Mexico and England at the Azteca. First things first, I'm just going to say it. Not only was this the best game of the World Cup, this is easily going to go down as one of the most iconic games in this tournament's history. Everything about this was just absolute cinema. From all the lead up into this game of England playing at the Azteca, the ghosts of 1986 coming back to haunt them, the hand of God from Maradona. Pair that with the crazy Mexican fans trying to plumage their hotel, make noises, fireworks, all of that stuff, just like they did with the Ecuador team. They were able to track down the England team somehow. And then to top it off, put 7,000 feet above in the stadium, and now you have an altitude problem. One that, again, was very much emphasized heading into the lead up of this game. The fact that Mexico hadn't lost in this stadium since 2013. The fact that they've only lost twice in their entire history. The fact that they've never lost at a World Cup at the Azteca. So much of it going into this. Mexico coming off 4 games, 4 wins without conceding a goal. England barely scraping by against the likes of DR Congo. As if there couldn't be more, we got a storm on the day of the game, just like last week, an hour delay before the game, as if you needed any more time to build up and pent up yourself for this one. And it finally all kicked off, and from start to finish, it absolutely delivered. Like the Ecuador game, Mexico were coming out strong in the first 30 minutes. Their wing play, once again, from the likes of Alvarado and Quinones, so stand out. Jimenez with a couple of chances as well. Those three have proven to be such a dangerous front three in this tournament. One that you may overestimate based on the fact that, when you see their names, you're thinking, okay, these guys aren't really super proven in the big leagues. Jimenez probably being the only one, but you watch these guys play in the tournament, man, they are just different. They're an absolute different breed. You can tell that these guys have been working together so intensively that their chemistry is just unbreakable. No matter what you can do, you just can't break their shine. It's too strong. But all England had to do was do what Ecuador couldn't do in their last game. Hold off for those first 30 minutes, let the crowd sort of get into it and kind of settle down, and then wait for the perfect time to strike. And that is exactly what they did. By the 35-36 minute mark, Mexico kind of switched off. And boy, England made them pay. Declan Rice just running from his own half all the way to the other side. He finds his Arsenal teammate Bukayo Saka, does his usual from the right, goes right to the byline, and then fires a cross in to the diving head of Jude Bellingham. Just like that, completely against the run of play. England, one chance. They put it past Raul Rangel, their first goal conceded of the tournament. England with the big 1-0 lead. And as if that was thrilling enough for England, they pounced right away again. Elliot Anderson making a perfect read on Gilberto Mora, the 17-year-old again. Bit of a lack of experience on that one, not looking over his shoulder. Anderson comes pouncing in. England go right back on the offensive. Harry Kane, unselfish, passes it across. Who's there again? Hey, Jude Bellingham. 2 goals in less than 2 minutes. England going absolutely bonkers. They found themselves up 2-0 in the Azteca, what was said to be almost an impossible task, and they were absolutely running away with it. And again, those 2 goals were just so well done from England, man. So well done. Pouncing on Mexico, catching them sleeping twice, and the attacking play is just brilliant, man. The first one with Saka getting it across. It was very reminiscent to Bellingham's goal that he scored in Euro 2024 against Serbia, with Saka coming in with the right, Bellingham with the diving header in. Just sensational. And then the second goal, brilliant again. From the midfield play of Anderson, and then Harry Kane, who I don't think gets enough credit for his unselfishness. Not even just on that play, but just in general. This guy's obviously in a race for the Golden Boot once again for this tournament, but he always makes the right play. We've seen it time and time again with Harry Kane. He's not just a guy that's all about scoring goals and whatever. He's always about making the right decisions and the right play and putting himself in the right spots. And that's exactly what he does here. Getting it across to Jude Bellingham. He gets 2 goals in the span of 2 minutes. I mean, Absolutely sensational, man. I'll have more to say about him at the end, but man, what an absolute difference maker for this team. Unfortunately for England, though, they themselves kind of switched off after that because a few minutes later, a dangerous ball comes in from Mexico. Ezri Konsa, who's already had a pretty shaky tournament, does not clear his lines, and Julian Quinones gets it and pounces on it. His 4th goal of the tournament. Just like that, Mexico back in the game. They make it 2-1. Now all of a sudden for England, it gets a little bit nervy again. Just when you thought you could be running away here, Mexico pull themselves back in it. And again, England found themselves holding on for dear life at the end of the first half. Jimenez had an unbelievable chance. And then right at the end of the half, Jude Bellingham making an unbelievable game-saving play to keep England on top at the end of the first half. I mean, first of all, the guy shouldn't have taken the touch. Like, let's be honest. I'm not sure what he was doing, kind of taking that extra touch. But Jude Bellingham, just incredible, man. Throwing himself into that one, doing whatever he could on both ends to get it done for England. He keeps them ahead by 2-1 heading into halftime. Already, this first half was just insane. I mean, it just absolutely blew up, especially towards the end. But again, if you thought that was something, just wait for the second half. Now, I'll give credit to England in the sense that their start of the second half was pretty good. They, again, sucked some of that energy out of the Azteca. They were able to have a lot of the ball and a lot of possession, but Mexico were never really out of this one, and that's what you've really felt like throughout the entire game. And that was obviously none more apparent than when, around the 10-minute mark of the second half, Jarrell Quansah makes a very hard challenge. It was at this point where the commentators were just going crazy. They're saying that the benches are fighting, and there's tons of commotion going on. In the end, this goes to VAR, and yeah, it looks pretty bad for Quansah. The first part of that challenge looks okay. He does get a hold of the ball, but not really in the way that he intended to do it. But he still has the opportunity with his right foot, I believe, to pull out of the challenge, and he'll probably still take the guy down. Might get a yellow, but if the ref didn't see it, he probably wouldn't give a yellow, so probably could get away with it. But the issue with this is that because his momentum's carrying him forward, and again, he kind of didn't mean to get the ball in the way he did, but regardless, he had the chance to pull out, but instead, he extends his leg out, and he follows right through, and yeah, this one's bad. It's a red card. An obvious red card. A terrible mistake for him, costing England. Once again, that right back position has not been very kind to this team in this tournament. Ever since they've lost Reece James, it's been a hole in that position. If they can get either Reece James back healthy or get that position sorted ahead of Norway, boy, they're going to be in trouble. Nusa on that left-hand side, he's going to be a lot to handle. But anyways, from here, this seemed like the complete turning point of the game. Mexico up a man, only down a goal, with plenty of time left to spare. They looked in good shape as far as getting back into this game. That was until a few minutes later when Anthony Gordon makes an incredible run in behind, just absolutely leaves Sanchez to the dust. He gets the ball past Rangel. It's kind of similar to the Cunha penalty from earlier, except this was the goalkeeper, not the defender. Regardless, Gordon goes down. Penalty is awarded. Again, another turning point. England down a man, now with a chance to retake a 2-goal lead. And of course, they put Sir Harry on it, and he did not make a mistake. Perfect penalty right on the left side, a lot better than the ones that he had against Croatia with, again, the stutter step that he missed the first time, but made the second time. He wasn't playing around this time. He wasn't doing none of that stutter step nonsense as he put England back up by 2. And once again, you started to feel like England was getting themselves back in it. Then again, a few minutes later, Mexico in their box. Kane tries to boot a ball out. He gets beaten to it. He ends up kicking a player in the leg. Once again, big commotion for Mexico. They want this to get checked. It does get checked, and it's another penalty. This one being kind of iffy, but again, with how the game was called from that point, anything like that was going to get given. And so Kane going from scoring a penalty to conceding a penalty in like less than 10 minutes. Like, it was just absolutely insane. And then the other end, obviously, Raul Jimenez, Mexico star striker, he's the one on it, and he doesn't make the mistake. Once again, Pickford going the right way, but Jimenez just too strong of a shot. Mexico are once again within 1. This was when the game also got crazy because even with England down 10 men, they looked really threatening. They were coming in. They were attacking. I think Bellingham had a really good run as well. I'm not sure if it was at that time or if it was beforehand, but Bellingham had a really dangerous run in the second half. Wasn't able to get anything from there. And then England were really pressuring them, which, again, risky considering their situation. But regardless, that's what they were doing until the hydration break. And at that point, Thomas Tuchel decided he was going to go all in. He was going to put on pretty much an all-defensive lineup at this point. He brought in the likes of Dan Burn, Jed Spence, even took off Harry Kane at the end of the game, just putting all his eggs on one basket, that basket being holding on for dear life to this lead. And on the surface, you might think that's risky, but at the same time, what else can you do when you're down a man? You really have no choice but to really hem yourselves in. You have a lead, you have to keep it. It is kind of rare to be in that position of having a man down and having to hold a lead. Like it's quite something, especially for how long that they did it as well. They did it for the majority of the second half, and even in the second half, it got extended. We got like 10, 11, 12 minutes of added time. It was absolutely nuts. But yeah, Mexico time and time again just trying to go for it. Didn't like the fact that Quinones got taken off. I think that was a bit of a controversial decision there from Aguirre, who's otherwise had a good tournament on his end. But yeah, Mexico trying, but it really felt like as the latter stages of the game went on, England were just getting stronger and stronger and stronger in defense. Every stop that they made essentially felt like a goal for them. They just kept on going and going, holding their resistance so hard. And eventually, once we got to that full time, once we got to minute 90, 12 or whatever it was, that's 102 actually, but yeah, England, they finally hold on. They get one of their greatest victories in their national team's history. It has to be said, man, because again, all the build-up leading into the game of they couldn't do it in the Azteca. They couldn't do it against this team and these fans and these players that have gone perfect so far in this tournament. They came in, executed the perfect game plan, even with all this stuff being thrown at them, the red cards, the penalties, all of this. They find a way. They always find a way. But honestly, this was different though. Like this team showed genuine resilience, man. Genuine resilience of playing in an environment like this. I know England for a lot of these tournaments, especially these last couple ones in the Euros, and we're going to get another Euros like this as well, of having a quote-unquote home advantage. This was the complete opposite. They were going headfirst into enemy territory. One of the hardest places to play, one of the hardest places to win in football. A place where Mexico, again, they've never lost here at the World Cup. They haven't lost here in 13 years. They've only lost twice in 88 years. And they did it. They did it. Absolutely sensational. Fair play to this England side. I've never respected an England team more than I have coming out of a game than this one. And for good reason. The heart that these guys showed, again, with all that they were thrown with, I have to commend them for it. And I usually don't commend England whatsoever. In fact, I revel in seeing them falter at almost every tournament because who doesn't? It's glorious. But if there's any game that has proven why this England team and these group of players may just turn the tide and how they could be different, no better example than a game like this. Absolutely none. This was a standout performance from Tuchel himself, these group of players, in particular, Jude Bellingham. This guy, man, I don't think England deserve a player like him. I'm going to be the first. I don't think England deserve a player of his caliber at his age, how he possesses himself for these kinds of games, for England, especially. We've seen it already. He's played 4 tournaments for this team already. We've seen him step up in every single one of them. Euro 2020, he made that team as an 18-year-old. A year later, he makes the World Cup team, starts in 19, scores in that one. Euro 2024, saved them against Serbia with the 1 goal to win it. Saved them against Slovakia with a bicycle kick in the 96th minute in a game that they were about to lose. And again in the final as well, he got the assist to Cole Palmer against Spain. And then this tournament with 4 goals. 4 goals in this tournament. And they've all been very important goals. His goal against Croatia ended up being the winning goal. Likewise against Panama. And again, this game, the 2 goals right at the beginning. Like, this was genuinely, I might be like crazy for saying this. This might be the greatest performance that any individual player has done at the Azteca since Maradona on that famous day in 1986 against England. He was that good. And the fact that before this tournament, in the months leading up, that there was talk of people saying that England should be benching him in favor of guys like Morgan Rogers and Adam Wharton and some other random players that probably didn't even make the England team. The fact that that was even a conversation is just mind-blowing. That's why I say that I don't think England deserves Jude Bellingham. They don't deserve a player of his quality because he gets so doubted, he gets so criticized, and yet time and time again, this guy just proves everyone that he is easily England's best player. As much as you want it to be Harry Kane or anyone else, he is England's best player. He steps up in all of the right moments, all the times where they need him, all the times where they need a difference maker, a guy to grab a game, a genuine game changer. He is that guy. I'm not saying Harry Kane is not that. Harry Kane is in his own right. We saw him do that obviously against DR Congo, but in this stage, against this team, of course it was Jude Bellingham. Of course it was him. I'm not surprised by this. Jude Bellingham, I've said it, he is, when healthy, the best midfielder in the world, and I don't even think it's close. And mind you, this is the best version we've seen of Jude Bellingham right now. This guy has not been healthy for years. This guy, ever since his Dortmund days, was playing through that shoulder injury, re-injured it time and time again. His best season in 2024, he was going through so much with his shoulder, but kept playing through it. Eventually, he finally came around this time last year, came around, got the surgery, missed the first half of the season, and finally at this point, he's back to his old self. He's back to 100%. And what's also scary to think is that this guy is 23 years old. He's 23. He hasn't even reached his prime yet. And look at all that he's done for England. Look at all that he's accomplished in his career. And he's still, in a lot of ways, considered a youngster. Just ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous from him. He is the reason why England are going through. Easily. Absolute game changer. Again, credit to all the England team as well. Again, Harry Kane had a really good performance today. Again, showing that he doesn't always have to score goals to be impactful. That pass to Jude Bellingham, so unselfish, so brilliant from him. Saka with the first assist. Gordon drawing the penalty. Those guys were just standout, man. Absolutely incredible. Defense is still worrying, I will say. Konsa, I don't think he should start the next game. If he does, England could be in trouble. If Reece James is not a right back for next game, England could be in trouble. Jordan Pickford, I think, had his best game of the tournament, even though he did give up 2 goals. I thought he was outstanding in this one. Back to his old self, something that England definitely needed. And yeah, great stuff for them. I'll try and be a little bit quicker on Mexico because I already know I'm going so long on this, but fair play to Mexico once again. Unbelievable tournament you guys had. Yes, I know on the surface it seems like, oh, you lost in the round of 16 again. Like always, nothing's changed. But this team, the way they represented themselves in this tournament, in front of their home faithful, could not have asked more from them. You could not have asked more from what these players gave. Again, this was set to be the weakest Mexico team in decades. And for them to show up the way that they did throughout this tournament, going toe-to-toe with this England team, an England team that is so well proven, so well oiled. They've been to 2 Euro finals in the past and have done well in a lot of World Cups as well. It's a testament to that group, man. It is a testament. Players like Julian Quinones, like with all due respect, players like Julian Quinones and Raul Jimenez and Roberto Alvarado should not be going toe-to-toe with the likes of Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham and Bukayo Saka and Rice and so on and so forth. But they did, man. They did. Thanks to their team spirit, thanks to the fans behind them, the whole country behind them. They did it, man. They brought Mexican football back to the forefront. They brought Mexican football to a global stage. And once again, all credit goes to, again, the team. Javier Aguirre himself, once again, his third go around with this team and easily his best one yet. Still obviously more to come in the next couple of years and whatnot. But what a big step for this team. What a big step. And they're going to obviously be dangerous going forward. Gilberto Mora, Wasn't his best today, but the kid's 17. He's going to be 21 by the next World Cup. He's still considered a youngster. He'll still be up for the Young Player of the World Cup award 4 years from now, which is insane. But yeah, man, what a great group that was. Testament to them pushing England to the absolute limit, and yeah, you guys were great, absolutely great. Even though you did knock out my team and you gave us a big headache from all the noises you were making, again, I have nothing but admiration for the team and what they were able to do in this World Cup with all the pressure against them, with all the doubt. They turned all of that into a huge amount of belief and a huge amount of optimism for that team going forward. And that is going to be it for day 25 of the World Cup. Just absolutely sensational, man. Oh my God. Again, if these next two knockout days are going to be anything like it, we're in for an absolute treat. Obviously, Portugal and Spain, the heavyweight matchup of these round of 16 games. Boy, that's going to be a big one. Cannot wait to talk about that, as well as the U.S. game as well for other reasons. But regardless, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for supporting again. Make sure to like and subscribe for daily World Cup content. We are down to one host left for the World Cup. And looking at who that host is, you tell me whether they deserve to be there or not. And whether their star striker deserves to be playing in the next game or not. Their call, not mine. Let's play football.